All right, today we're diving into Stoicism. Now, this isn't some dusty old philosophy. Think of it more as a timeless guide, a practical toolkit for building a truly unbreakable mind. It was born from a total disaster, but it's as useful today as it was thousands of years ago. So let's get into it. But first, let me ask you something. Seriously, imagine it. Everything you've worked for, all your money, everything you own, gone. Just like that, in a single moment. What would you do? How would you even begin to react? It's a scary thought, right? But the reason I ask is because that's not some hypothetical question. It's the true story of how Stoicism got started.
And that's where our story begins, with a shipwreck that sparked a whole new way of thinking. See, this entire powerful philosophy pretty much started with one guy who had to face that exact nightmare scenario. His name was Zeno of Citium, and this all went down around 300 BC.
So, Zeno, he was a rich merchant. He had it all. But on one trip to Athens, the worst happened. His ship, carrying his entire fortune, everything he owned, went down, swallowed by the sea. Just like that, he was left with absolutely nothing, a stranger in a new city. But this is where the story gets really interesting. Instead of just giving up and falling into despair, what does he do? He wanders into a bookstore, starts reading about Socrates, and gets completely hooked on philosophy. Pretty soon, he starts teaching his own ideas out in public under a famous porch in Athens called the Stoa Psyche, the painted porch. And yep, you guessed it, that's where the name comes from, Stoicism. So what was this life-changing idea that Zeno figured out? Well, it's a principle that is the absolute heart of Stoicism. It's called the dichotomy of control. And honestly, Zeno's shipwreck is the perfect example of how it works. Look, it breaks down the entire world into two simple lists: stuff you can control and stuff you can't. You can't control a storm or the stock market or what other people say about you, but you always control your own thoughts, your own reactions, how you choose to act. Zeno couldn't stop the ship from sinking, right? But he could control how he responded to it. And in that one choice, he found true freedom. You know, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was actually born a slave, he just nailed it with this quote. It wasn't the shipwreck itself that had the power to destroy Zeno. It was how he judged the shipwreck. By choosing to see it differently, he turned the worst day of his life into the beginning of his true purpose. Now, this whole dichotomy of control thing is huge, but it's not just a standalone trick. The Stoics saw their whole philosophy as a complete system, and they had this really cool way of explaining it. They called it the orchard of wisdom. Let's walk through it. So first, you have the fence. That's logic. It's all about thinking clearly, protecting your mind from confusion and bad ideas. Then, inside, you've got the trees. That's physics. For them, this meant understanding how the universe works, seeing it as this rational, interconnected system. And finally, the whole point of the orchard, the fruit. That's ethics. That's the goal of it all, using clear thinking to live a good, happy, and meaningful life. Okay, so if the goal is to get to that fruit, how do we actually do it? This is where Stoicism gets super practical. They didn't just talk about ideas. They gave us a set of tools for everyday life, and it's all built around 4 core virtues. These 4 virtues are basically the pillars of a good Stoic life. Wisdom isn't about being a genius, it's just about seeing situations clearly. Justice is about how we treat other people, fairly and with respect. Courage isn't just for battlefields, it's about having the guts to do the right thing every single day. And temperance, or self-control, is all about being the master of your own desires, not the other way around. I love this quote from the Roman Stoic Seneca. It really puts things in perspective. Courage isn't always some big, heroic act. Sometimes, just getting through the day with your integrity intact, that's the act of courage. It's about finding that strength in the daily grind. And this all leads to this really powerful mindset they called amor fati, which literally means a love of fate. Now, this is not about just giving up and saying, oh well, no way. It's the active, enthusiastic acceptance of everything that happens, the good and the bad. It's learning to see every single event not as a problem, but as a chance to practice wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. It's how you turn every obstacle into fuel for your own growth. So you might be thinking, okay, this ancient stuff sounds powerful, but does it really apply today? The answer is 1,000% yes. Its legacy has lasted for centuries, and it's influenced some of the most amazing people in history, as you're about to see. I mean, just look at this journey. It starts with Zeno and his shipwreck. Then it gets picked up in Rome by Seneca, an advisor to the emperor.
It reaches its peak with Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on the planet, scribbling Stoic thoughts in his private journal. And it doesn't stop there. It inspires modern psychology, like Viktor Frankl's work. And today, it's used by everyone from CEOs to professional athletes to leaders all over the world. And what's really incredible is how it speaks to literally everyone. You have Epictetus, a man who was born a slave, finding strength in these ideas. And then you have Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, finding guidance in the very same principles. It just goes to show you it's a philosophy for any human being because it's all about the one thing we all have in common, our inner life. And for a truly powerful, more modern example, look no further than Nelson Mandela. During his 27 years locked away in prison, he secretly got a hold of the writings of Marcus Aurelius, and he drew incredible strength from them. Just think about that. The private thoughts of a Roman emperor, written nearly 2,000 years before, helped a future president endure one of the harshest trials imaginable. That is staying power. We've covered a shipwreck, an emperor, a prison cell. So after all of that, what's the single most important thing to really get about Stoicism? Okay, here's the biggest misconception, that being Stoic means being a robot with no feelings. That is completely wrong. It is not about suppressing emotion. It's about noticing your feelings and then using your rational mind to choose your response. It's about turning obstacles into opportunities. It's about building an inner fortress, a place of peace and strength inside you that nothing on the outside can ever tear down.
And that brings it all back to you, right here, right now. We all face challenges every single day. It might not be a shipwreck, right? It might just be a traffic jam or a frustrating email or some unexpected bad news. So think about it. What challenge, big or small, are you going to face today? Not with anger or despair, but by tapping into that inner strength you have.
If a question made you stop and think, take one more second. Philosophy doesn't give easy answers. It teaches you how to ask better questions. Like the video if you enjoy thinking. Follow Philosophy LM and keep searching together.